Next Gen Console Watch is presented by the Army National Guard. To find out more about how the National Guard is delivering food, building hospitals, and working in our communities during the COVID pandemic, visit nationalguard.com/esports. Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch 2020, our show following all the news and rumors on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. I'm Damon Hatfield, and joining me, as always, are Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox podcast Unlocked.
I'm exhausted, Damon.
I know, we've got so much to talk about today. Also joining us is Jonathan Dornbush, host of IGN's PlayStation podcast Beyond.
I've had so much coffee so far today.
Perfect. We're all caffeinated. Now we've all watched the Xbox Game Showcase, something that Ryan has been calling the most important Xbox event ever. It's time to find out. Ryan, what do you think? Did Xbox deliver today?
I think they did deliver. I mean, I built it up and I said they needed to show everything, empty every barrel and every gun and show everything they're doing. They didn't do that, but I really did think that they did a great job of showing the diversity and quality of games. I mean, if you look at that lineup for 2021 versus the just dry desert of first party content that we've had for most of this entire generation on Xbox One, I think they did a fantastic job. I mean, they Everwild. We still haven't seen core gameplay, but everything they have shown from the XO19 reveal to what they showed today, really cool vibe off of that game. And then the new one, Avowed, the new one from Obsidian, that is a first-person role-playing game. That was arguably the game of the show. If you're not a Halo person, I thought Halo Infinite looked really good, and then the Fable thing that they closed with, poorly kept secret. We knew that they were rebooting Fable, and we knew it was a new team at Playground. But what that teaser did for me was hit all the right notes of that Playground gets and understands Fable and is going to really sort of honor it and stay true to it. So yeah, I was really, really happy. I think this is the best showcase they've had in a long, long time.
Well, we'll dive into more of these games individually in a bit. But Jonathan, first of all, give us your impressions. Do you agree with Ryan? Do you feel like this was a total success for Xbox?
I thought it was really solid overall. I think it was a much better presentation in all aspects than the first Xbox Series X showcase we had earlier this year. I think there were some really great looking games in there, as Ryan was mentioning, Everwild in particular on the first party, coming up soon front definitely looked really exciting to me. I think it was a really solid sell for Game Pass, and conversely, I don't think it was a good sell for Series X. Granted, I think that comes down to how Microsoft is approaching this generation very differently from PlayStation, but in the way that the PS5 showcase was, here's why you need to buy a PS5, this showed me here's why you need Game Pass, but not really why you need a Series X. But again, I don't necessarily think that's the only goal Xbox is going into next gen with.
Although interestingly on that, Jonathan, a lot of those new games that we saw said Series X and PC and not Xbox One. Some of them did, like Psychonauts 2, but it does seem like a lot of them are going to just go ahead and go full next gen. So that's
sure
an interesting data point relative to your point to what they've been saying about the full cross-generational thing.
I guess I mean for launch. I think those games that you're seeing where it only says Series X and PC are probably at least 2 or 3 years out from launch at this point. Whereas the PS5 presentation on the whole was very much focused on arguably the next year and a half. And so for me, as someone who has an Xbox One, who has access to a PC, I will be good. I don't necessarily think I need to buy a Series X this fall.
Well, we have lots more to talk about from Xbox's event today. But first, Next Gen Console Watch is presented by the Army National Guard. To celebrate the upcoming console releases, we are giving you a chance to win a Next Gen console by giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to 2 lucky winners at the end of the month. To enter, all you need to do is visit guardgiveaway.ign.com, where you'll also find official rules for the giveaway. So what are you waiting for? Go to the site and sign up for a Next Gen console. Let's talk about probably the biggest game of the show, Halo Infinite. It's been a long time coming. We finally got the gameplay reveal. Ryan, you were impressed with what you saw?
I actually really was. I mean, I think it did what it needed to do, which is show Halo for a new generation as being something a bit new, but while trying to rekindle that old Halo 1 feeling. Like, it is open world as we kind of all suspected it would be. You can wander around the ring. It's got that sort of large exploratory kind of feeling. But there's a lot of neat stuff. And I mean, the warthogs, they showed off the warthog. They showed off a nice sweet jump in the warthog, some power sliding. Always makes you feel good. Some cool new weapons in there, a riot shotgun, and that really giant like revolver brute pistol that they had in there. So I actually really did enjoy the Halo Infinite presentation. I thought it set a good tone. We've got a villain here. The Brutes are back from as the banished faction, which was seen in Halo Wars 2. So I do think it was a good first step for Halo, and it'll be good to see from here what multiplayer looks like, what some deeper stuff into the campaign looks like, and most importantly with Halo, the story.
Mhm.
We always care in Halo, we care about the story. So what exactly it is and how it plays out will be critical in how Infinite ends up turning out.
I was surprised that the graphics and the visuals for Halo Infinite didn't wow me more. This is a series that has definitely wowed me in the past. When I played Halo 4, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this game is
Yeah.
beautiful." But I'm playing another open world game right now called Ghost of Tsushima, and just from the small slice of gameplay we saw today, I think Ghost of Tsushima actually looks better than what we saw. Jonathan, what did you think about the visuals that we saw today in Halo Infinite? Does it look next gen to you?
No, it doesn't look next gen on a pure graphical hardware fidelity level. Granted, the first viewing was on the live stream that was in 1080p 60. There is now the 4K 60 gameplay that I do still need to go watch in full. I would say on the visual level, I loved the art style. It seemed a lot more broad in the same way that Halo 1 was, where the earlier Halos to me were more concerned about the expanse that you're looking at and sort of the shapes and the geometry of that landscape that you're seeing. Whereas I felt like as Halo went on, as much as it got technically more beautiful, it was much more concerned with those small little details. And I did kind of like that very reminiscent Halo 1 look. But yeah, on the whole, I don't think what I saw was, again, this is for me. I don't need to buy a Series X to play this. If it will run pretty well on the Xbox One X that I have access to, I will just play it there for now.
Yeah, Ryan, what did you think about the visuals in Halo Infinite?
I mean, I do agree there was not the next gen wow factor there, and hopefully, watching the 4K version, which I also haven't had the chance to do yet, it'll look a little bit better. But I mean, it'll be running at 4K 60, which is great. It'll be interesting to see if it has any other graphical options and settings in it
Mhm.
for the Series X version in particular. But yeah, it definitely the art direction I think was welcome to Jonathan's point of this is a spiritual reboot. Like the chief looks different, his armor is different, the world it has a different look to it. Chief has changed and evolved over the years as far as his look goes, and he's definitely got the whole thing has a more Halo 1 look and feel to it by design. So yeah, I would agree that maybe it would have been nice if it had visually dropped our jaws a little bit more,
Mm,
but I do still think it overall looked good.
mhm. Now you mentioned Fable before. It's very nice to know that's coming, even if we just got a little bit of a teaser trailer announcement today. And you also mentioned Avowed, and I would argue that that might be one of the most important announcements today. That's Obsidian's next big RPG. It's going to be
Yes.
exclusive to Xbox. And Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong. As strong as Sony's first party lineup is, they don't really have an equivalent. They don't really have an exclusive RPG that they can call their own. Isn't that right?
Not in the sense of a Skyrim or a
Yeah.
Fallout or that sort of sense. Yeah, this is definitely, it's Obsidian doing something set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, and definitely clearly taking inspiration from that Bethesda model that I think we all know and love, but putting their spin on it. And obviously, we've loved Obsidian's spin on Bethesda franchise before, so I'm excited to see what they do with their own universe.
Right. Ryan, are you excited to learn more about Avowed? Do you think that's going to be a big win for Xbox?
It was definitely a big win today. It showed really well. I mean, the idea of first person role playing game. It's probably going to be, I would imagine, a larger scale project. Even the tone of that trailer made it kind of feel like a larger, more epic scale. I mean, The Outer Worlds is pretty well universally regarded as an excellent game, and we saw new DLC for that in the event. Uh, but it's by design. It's a smaller scale role playing game. It's more of kind of a 20-30 hour. Not that that's
Right.
small, but compared to Skyrim or Bethesda stuff, it certainly is. And so yeah, if Avowed kind of gets deeper and ends up being a 60-80 hour game in this medieval fantasy Pillars of Eternity universe that they're crafting with this, that could definitely be, I mean, a huge expansive first party exclusive RPG could be a definite big win for Microsoft and Xbox.
All right. Now that we've had sort of two big events in the summer from both Sony and Microsoft, how do we feel that the two next gen consoles are comparing now? Where do these two consoles stand now? Jonathan, who do you think in your mind has the stronger launch lineup that we know of? PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X?
Well, it's honestly really tough for me. Like I have to, and I realize it may seem easy, but I have to give it to PlayStation right now because of, at the end of the day, the different goals both of these companies are chasing. Like as I was saying, Halo Infinite, I'm excited to play it. I love Halo. It evoking Halo 1 in so many ways is hitting the right notes for me, but I can play it elsewhere. And so when you're talking about this fall, which console do I feel more compelled to have to go buy? It is definitely the PlayStation 5, because right now that is the only place I will be able to play Marvel Spider-Man, and I will be able to play Horizon when it comes out next year, and a few of the other exclusives that Sony showed in that conference, like Demon Souls and whatnot. So for me right now, I feel like in terms of what I am needing to have in my living room come this fall, it's definitely the PS5.
Ryan, how would you respond?
I actually think the Xbox launch lineup is looking really great and super diverse, something for everybody. So we've actually made a list based on the new information today. So Halo Infinite launch title, and then The Medium, Scorn, Tetris Effect Connected, Gears Tactics, which has been out on as a PC game, will now be coming to console for Series X. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion. Sure, those are third party, but they're going to be tailored for Series X and hopefully PS5 as well. You got Dirt 5, next gen specific versions of NBA 2K21, Madden NFL 21, Outriders, Observer System Redux, The Ascent, that's another exclusive, and Yakuza, another exclusive there too. So it's going to be a really good holiday. I think there's some excellent reasons to do your gaming on Xbox this fall. I'm of course with Jonathan. I'm looking forward to both. I don't want to miss Spider-Man this holiday for sure. But as far as like exclusive launch lineup, I'd say for the day one lineup, Microsoft's standing toe to toe with Sony right now.
Well, dear viewers, which announcement from the Xbox Game Showcase today delighted you the most? Was it the Fable announcement, Halo gameplay, Stalker 2? Let us know in vote on IGN.com, and we will share the results with you next week, just like we have the results of last week's poll for you right now. We asked, which next-gen console philosophy do you prefer? Was it the PlayStation's unique console with exclusives that can't be played anywhere else, or an open cross-gen platform that plays old and new games like Xbox Series X? And the majority, 45% of the voters, said that they prefer the PS5 version, but the Xbox Series X philosophy wasn't too far behind them, 34%. Jonathan, do these results surprise you?
No, even though I think it's pretty easy to argue that the Xbox philosophy is more consumer friendly on the whole, it is a much newer philosophy, and we are very much engineered right now to be like, oh, I want a new generation console to play the new generation games. And so for me, that's a bit of this launch lineup conundrum that you had posed earlier. I can play a lot of the Xbox Series X launch lineup on other pieces of hardware, but there just will be things on the PS5 that I can't play unless I get a PS5. And so I think our readers who are looking forward to, what console do I need to pick up this fall that's new, that, will lean you in that direction.
Ryan, do you agree that the Xbox philosophy is more consumer friendly?
Oh, of course. I don't think that's arguable really, but certainly there is a case to be made for I want a new console that can only play new games. I mean, there is something to that, and the games will bear out on both platforms, whether or not or sort of which philosophy ends up creating the best games, because that's ultimately that's what players care about, are the best and best looking games. So yeah, it'll be interesting to ask this question again in 6 months from now, after the two have been out for a month or two.
Well, maybe I'll pose that question again 6 months from now on this very show. But for now, that will do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch 2020. Thank you to both Ryan and Jonathan. We will be back next Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern with more PS5 and Xbox Series X news. We'll see you then.
Party on, dude. Summer is here, and with it, the biggest show in entertainment, Comic-Con. And this year, it's on IGN. Starting July 22nd, IGN is giving you a front row seat to the geekiest celebrity panels.
I love this show!
The coolest merch, the latest trailers, and the biggest reveals from across the world of movies, TV, and comics. Whoa. Catch all 5 days of Comic-Con at home on IGN and IGN One on Samsung TV Plus.